Hey folks, I'm here to share another build with you if you don't mind. I've been replaying factions recently and it's been a really rough ride, but I made a pretty cool Ritualist martial build. And actually it's a bit of a sequence, series I should say, of builds that could be applied to most martial professions I think. But yeah, let's get started. I'll start you with the variant with the axe. So first of all, the whole core of the build, right? We, as you probably expected, will run Spirit Strength. That gives our attacks plus 33 damage on each attack if you're under a weapon skill. Under a weapon spell, I mean. That's a really good enchantment, and we do need to pair it up with a weapon spell, which will be Weapon of Aggression. It is a spell that lets us attack faster, really good, and it lasts for not 14 seconds but 21, because spawning power increases the duration of weapon spells, which is cool. Then I'm gonna skip through Splinter Weapon, I'll explain it in a bit, but then we'll get over to Sight Beyond Sight, which is technically a flex slot, but I do like it and I pretty much never change it because, one, immunity to blindness is, well, strong, it basically eliminates one of your counters, and two, you actually get to have a cover-up enchantment for your Spirit Strength. If you run into enchantment strippers, your Sight Beyond Sight will take the first blow, right, if you cast it afterwards. So now that that's done, Splinter Weapon is not something I use all the time, but it is like a burst button. If you see an opportunity, and especially opening a fight with it is pretty good, you pop the spell, then do an AoE attack with whatever really weapon that you're doing. It could be volley on the ranger bow, it could be Phoenix Strike, I think, on the assassin daggers and Death Blossom. It could be, like in this case, it could be Cyclone Axe and Whirlwind attack. Do that in a group, and if you precast this weapon before the fight begins, you actually can cast it again and do another AoE attack if you want to. And then just quickly swap to Weapon of Aggression, because it has a very short cast time, and you're good. So, these four spells are probably the core of it, and I run them with every setup, I think. But in this case, with the axe, I have an AoE bomb kind of setup. It's Cyclone Axe, obviously. Very short cooldown, low cost, decent damage AoE attack, really good. Whirlwind Strike from Sun Spears. Same thing, kind of easy to get adrenaline, big damage increase. You can even use it against single targets as well. It is really big damage. And another AoE attack. Ancestor's Rage, really cool. I'm trying to express my thoughts. I'm really happy that I can slot this skill into this build, is what I'm trying to say. Because it has such a tiny cast time that you could technically use it after using another axe attack, because it will cancel the aftercast, similar to what the ranger did with Penetrating Shot. So yeah, it is really awesome. You just run in, pop, 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 and then boom, you suddenly did just now like 200 something, 300 damage in one burst. Really cool. And the fourth slot is flexible. I mostly run Signet of Capture there, but in this case, because I'm struggling with the mission a little bit, I'm gonna run Executioner Strike for some single target damage. Especially, you know, in factions, as it turns out, there are so many bosses, you kind of need to have some kind of single target damage. So the only weakness for this build remains to be enemies that block, which is a problem, and you could bypass it again with Necros or with some stance removal stuff, maybe something like this, you know, Norn tracks and all that. But for now I'm gonna leave it because I know there are not so many enemies that block in this fight. But yeah, you could solve it. There's also this ghostly weapon, but you cannot self-target it, which is unfortunate. But I think there's another weapon spell that is self-targetable that makes you unblockable, but it costs a lot, so maybe you could run that. Anywho, I'm going to show you briefly the build with daggers as well, the variant, which is really strong. Let me quickly switch weapons for your convenience. There you go. So this build differs. For context, by the way, the PVX does have variants of multiple builds with Spirit Strength. but I kind of didn't like any of them. And I actually found out that they had those builds only after I made mine. And then I went to see if somebody else is using it because it's actually really strong. Like, all of these builds are really strong. Anyway, so the setup differs. PVX, for daggers, for example, uses typical dagger spam, and I don't. I don't like it. It feels worse than this setup. So with this setup, you can see Spirit Siphon is a pretty good option for getting energy if you're struggling. In my case, I have Oleus with Blood is Power. That pretty much saves me from any energy drought. I'm usually okay. So I replace it with Splinter Weapon again. And secondly, in terms of daggers, here's how this one works. Single target damage comes from this combo, right? The 1, 2, 3 skills. Golden Fox, plus 23, big damage. Unblockable if you are enchanted, which, Spirit Strength, you always are enchanted, right? So really good skill. Next, Wild Strike, plus 27 damage, really big. Low cooldown, low cost, removes target foe's stance, and is unblockable. So all those pesky ranges that are always the goddamn bane of existence for all the melee characters and ranged as well, suddenly do nothing. You just do damage through their blocking stances and actually strip them off them, which opens up a way for your Death Blossom. And voila, you almost never struggle with block unless it is an enchantment, like Aegis or Guardian, I think it's called, stuff like that. So yeah, I really do like this combo. And then once you finish it, your Death Blossom has a super short cooldown, so you can immediately follow up with Golden Phoenix, and then back into Death Blossom. Then your main ones are off cooldown, so you go Golden Fox, Wild Strike, Death Blossom again. And yeah, it is strong. It is very good. Now, when it comes to a little, like, skill check juggle, if you see an opportunity when, like, 2 or 3 enemies cluster together, walk up to them, pop Splinter Weapon, you have 4 attacks to deliver with it. You do Golden Phoenix, that's 1 attack. Death Blossom, that's 2 attacks because it's a dual strike. And then you do either an auto attack or a Golden Fox strike once more, and then pop Weapon of Aggression back. The idea is that, well, Splinter Weapon is a big burst in an AoE, so you require multiple targets to use it, but also it doesn't last long because it ends after a bunch of attacks, so your Spirit Strength falls off. You should never be without a weapon spell on you, because then Spirit Strength doesn't do anything. So use Splinter Weapon when you have Weapon of Aggression available, and when you see a little group, and then you can pop this little 2-skill combo to, well, kill stuff. Anyway, that's how that works, and I'm going to, right now, I think, use Axe just for fun, because, yeah, I've been using daggers for a while now, and I'm going to show you a little showcase of this fight, and you can pretty much imagine how the daggers work anyway. It's really good. It pops Spirit Strength multiple times because it attacks fast and all that stuff, so I think Axe is going to be a more interesting showcase. A quick note in terms of your character composition, or heroes and whatever. You want somebody who does cracked armor as usual, because, well, physical damage and stuff. So you run Elementalist with lightning, for example. And you also want somebody, because you're a ritualist, right? You're a very fragile individual. You want somebody that will take care of you when you run in and take all that aggro, right? I'm not running Mox or Jorah or anything that comes with me in melee, so I usually do get hit a lot. For that reason, I recommend a build like this Dunkoro that I'm running, which actually, now that I think about it, I should replace probably one of these skills I should replace with Protective Spirit, because it's just too good. And I think Reversal of Fortune probably will have to go. Yeah. Yoink. I usually don't run it because I run Zandra with a shelter and all that, but she does take time at the start of the fight to cast it, so I usually, like, you'll see right now, which will still probably happen, there will be a group of elementalists that will literally one-shot me unless I precast this Protective Spirit. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, let's get started, I guess. As usual, I play in hard mode because that's more fun, and stuff dies way too fast in normal mode. So yeah. Oh yeah, before we start, let me quickly show you gear. It is pretty simple. The axe is not really optimal much, I would say. This one, I'm not running a shield. Don't really know why. I probably should be, but I do like that extra energy because it just lets me operate a little bit more without Olius popping Blood is Power on me. Definitely run health. Definitely, you want health as a frontliner. And in terms of runes and stuff, this is a very old setup because I hadn't played this character in a long time, but I do recommend this rune specifically over here. Armor plus 15 while affected by a weapon spell. For this build specifically, that's like the thing to do, right? If you run a healer or DPS caster, you should be running the other rune. That gives you armor while you're activating skills. And obviously if you run spirits, you should run the rune with spirits. But for this one, this works really well. Obviously get vigor if you can and all that jazz, but for now let's just start the mission and see how that goes. It is not a super difficult mission. The enemies resurrect themselves, which is annoying, and I think one at the beginning blocks, but that's I think because they have like a monk or something that does an enchantment on them. The most difficult bit is the last one with the elementalists, because they just instantly melt you. There's something about Cantha in general that makes it like one of the most difficult areas for me, I think. Just the amount of enemies, the difficulty in pulling enemies, the way they show up from underground and they completely annihilate you. I don't know. Let me know if you're also struggling with Cantha a little bit. Cantha? Cantha. Anyway, let's try. So I'm gonna precast Splinter Weapon. I'm gonna run in. There's a pretty decent group. Yoink. Yoink, cast Splinter again. Oh, it runs away. Another AoE, nice. Another one of these. You see, this damage is pretty big. I don't know why I popped Splinter, that was a very bad time to pop Splinter. Re-enchant. This is pretty solid, considering that I'm not... First of all, this is hard mode, so every like armor value is heightened up, right? It's increased. Secondly, they are not light classes, so with all that considered, this is pretty decent damage with like just auto attacks. And again, you saw that Splinter Weapon pop. Like, if I manage to get a cluster of enemies and get all of them, that would be devastating. Yoink. This is honestly not the best probably showcase for the axe build specifically because we're fighting mainly bosses with like very small contingent of like adds and defenders, but it is still nonetheless effective. Ooh, nice drop. Of course, loot during the fight, as everybody does, right? Loot is the most important thing. Okay, lovely. That was pretty clean. Now is the difficult bit. We are required to kill 1,000,000 of elementalists that always one-shot me. So first of all, I'm gonna press F, which targets me. I'm gonna use Dunkoro to give me that protected spirit. And now I'm gonna go in. Finally, I am not instantly dead. I cannot make it to them because they're slowing me down. But you see the bloody chaos that this elementalist bullshit is. Boom! Now that's the damage. That's what I'm talking about. You saw that, right? That's insane. That is exactly why I love the axe build. Like, the dagger build is completely fine. The dagger build probably would be faster in this game, or in this mission anyway. But this, those big clustered groups, that's what the axe is for. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you, and take care.